When Rizal was studying at the University of Santo Tomas, he was unsatisfied by how the Dominican ruled the institution. He could no longer endure the uncontrolled racism, discrimination, and the hostility in the said university, and so he decided to study in Spain. He believed that the professors in Spain are more tolerant and understanding than those who are in his previous academy.
He left Calamba on May 1, 1882 and reached Manila after 10 hours of journey through Carimata. With the help of Pasiano, Rizal successfully left Manila and boarded the cruiser bound for Singapore on May 3, 1882 without their parents knowing. On the said steamer, he was the only Indio, and as he observed those who were aboard, he noticed that they were speaking ill of the country. After 1 week, Salvador docked at Singapore and he stayed at Hotel de la Paz for 2 days. After 2 days stopover, the passengers, along with Dr. Rizal, were transferred to Gemna, bound for France. Once again, he had his stop over Punta de Gales, Aden, and Port Said at Suez Canal, and he then reached the city of Barcelona on June 15, 1882. It was in Barcelona when he wrote his first nationalistic essay entitled El Amor Patrio, under the name Laong Laan, which means prepared long since or predestined, and the said essay was published in Diaryong Tagalog in Manila on August 20, 1882.
He continued his studies in Madrid and he enrolled in philosophy and letters and licentiate in medicine at the Universidad Central de Madrid. He also took lessons in painting and sculpture, and fencing in Academia de San Fernando and School of Science and Carbonell respectively, and in Ateneo de Madrid, he took lessons in English, French, and German. He took and passed the medical examination and was awarded the degree of licentiate in medicine. He continued his doctorate degree in medicine but was not able to claim his doctor's diploma for he failed to pay his fees.
He started writing his novel Noli Me Tangere, making it halfway done. He became closely associated with Lopez Haina and Marcelo del Pilar, and later on they were called Triumvirate of the propaganda movement. In Madrid, he experienced attending classes with nothing to eat due to the delay of his monthly allowance. He joined Masonry and became a Master Mason in Large Solidaridad on November 15, 1890. He fell in love with Consuelo Ortega y Rey but suppressed the feeling because of Leonor Rivera. Rizal went to Barcelona and visited Maximo Viola, a medical student from San Miguel, Bulacan. They agreed to have a grand tour in Europe once Rizal finished his studies in France and Germany. In 1885, Rizal decided to specialize in ophthalmology and moved to Paris. He started working at the eye clinic of Dr. Louis de Wecker as an assistant for 4 months. He stayed with Juan Luna in his studio and became his model in Blood Compact and The Death Cleopatra as Cicatuna and Priest respectively. Rizal left Paris due to its high cost of living and arrived in Heidelberg, Germany in 1886. He worked at the University of Heidelberg Eye Hospital under the guidance of Dr. Otto Becker. Due to his feeling of being homesick, he then wrote the poem To the Flowers of Heidelberg. He sent his first correspondence to Ferdinand Blumentritt on July 1886 and closed in a book entitled Arithmetica, and Blumentritt sent Rizal 2 books in return.
Subsequently, he went to Leipzig and attended lectures given by the German professors in history and psychology. He even translated Schiller's William Tell into Tagalog and Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale for his young niece and nephews in the Philippines. After 2 months, he left and went to Dresden and met Dr. Adolf Meyer, and after 3 days, he headed to Berlin via train. He has 5 reasons why he went to Berlin. Those reasons were to further enhance his knowledge of ophthalmology, to supplement his studies of languages and sciences, to study and observe the political and economic conditions of Germany, to join the circle of famous German scientists and scholars, and to complete and publish his novel Noli Me Tangere. He met Dr. Fedor Hagor, author of the book Travels in the Philippines. He established friendship with the famous Germans, Dr. Rodolph Virchow, Dr. Hans Virchow, Dr. Hoes, and Dr. Karl Ernest. He became member of Anthropological Society, Ethnological Society, and Geographical Society. Successively, he completed his first novel.
After coming home, Rizal had to leave Philippines again for his and his family's safety. He boarded the steamer Safiro bound to Hong Kong on February 3, 1888 and arrived in the British colony on February 8 on that year. He met those who were exiled in Hong Kong and got depressed because those people do not want to return to Manila. He left Hong Kong on February 22, 1888 on board the vessel SS Oceania and arrived in Japan through Yokohama on February 28. He fell in love with Chieko Usui, known as Osei-san, but because he remembered that he had something to fulfill for his country, he had no choice but to leave her. He left Japan by the middle of April 1888 and arrived in the USA on April 28 via the English steamer Belgique. Stayed at the Palace Hotel and with his arrival in New York. His trip has ended across the American continent. He reached Liverpool on May 24, 1888 and stayed at Adelphi Hotel and moved to London. He stayed there for a little longer to improve his knowledge of English language. It was in London when he annotated Morga's Successos de las Islas Filipinas, and according to Rizal, it was the best account of the conquest of the Philippines. He spent 4 months for research and writing and 1 year to have his manuscript printed. Ferdinand Blumentritt wrote the preface of the annotation. Rizal was able to produce the first history book of the Philippines, written for the Filipinos.
On December 31, 1888, a patriotic society was established and Rizal was unanimously chosen as the honorary president of the organization. On February 15, 1889, Rizal was informed about the founding of the Society of the Propaganda Movement called La Solidaridad. The first article Rizal published in the said propaganda movement was Los Agricultores Filipinos. Rizal left London for Paris on March 19, 1889. Upon his arrival in the city, he founded different clubs and organizations such as Kidlat Club, Indios Bravos, and the Sociedad Redención de los Malayas. Afterwards, he published his annotations of Morga's Successos. He wrote the ironic essay Por Telefono under the pen name Di Masalang. Later on, he left Paris for Brussels, Belgium on January 28, 1890. Because the cost of living in Paris has become so exorbitant and he could not resist the social life in the city. In Brussels, he spent his time writing his second novel and other articles for La Solidaridad, some of which were A la Defensa, La Verdad para Todos, Vicente Baranta's Teatro Tagalog, Una Profanación, and a lot more.
He arrived in Madrid in August 1890. Just then, all kinds of bad luck touched him. His friends failed in the hands of unsuitable rulers. His family was denied of justice. His friend Jose Maria Panganiban died, and his loving affection, Leonor Rivera, will soon get married.
After that incident, Rizal left Madrid to forget what had happened. He decided to lie low in Biarritz, a resort city in French Riviera. It was in this city where Dr. Rizal completed his manuscript of El Filibusterismo. He was attracted to Nolibusteds, but he still left Biarritz on March 30, 1891, and went to Paris, where he stayed in the residence of his friend, Valentin Ventura. Here, he practiced ophthalmology, and from Paris, he went to Brussels. He informed the propaganda movement about his decision to retire from the reform and he told the movements to stop sending his monthly allowance. He left Russell and arrived at Ghent, as he decided to publish his novel at F. Mayer Banlieue Press due to cheaper cost. After his novel was published, he became a laughingstock, publishing something to be a reason for the government not to take it easy on Filipino people. He thought that his voyage has done nothing good, so he asked for his parents' permission to go back and catch the bad luck together. He opted to stay in Hong Kong before going back in Manila.